Want to get good at painting watercolor flowers? In today's art tutorial, I'm sharing step-by-step instructions for 5 watercolor flowers that you can learn to paint right now. Hey friends, welcome back. My name is Shayda Campbell and around here we make art and it's fun, not scary. And today I have 5 watercolor flowers that I'm gonna share instructions for. These are simple. If you've never painted before, this is a great time to open up that little paint set, even if it's from the dollar store, and get started and actually paint something that you're proud of. First things first, let's talk supplies. You'll need watercolor paper. Proper paper makes all the difference. I'm using the Canson XL watercolor sketchbook with 140-pound cold press paper. I'm going to do all of this with a number 8 round brush, and then you'll want to have a little tin of watercolors. And don't worry if it's just something from the dollar store. A little set of watercolor pans is perfect for this. The first flower starts like this. Take your number 8 round brush, pick up a light color such as light pink, and start painting lines, fanning them out, going around in a circle as if you're painting the spokes on a wheel, but you're keeping them really tight. You'll leave a little circle in the center, and that's the beginning of your flower petals. Then rinse that brush with a clean brush, pick up a little bit of green, add a stem and some leaves. For the leaves, I like to just run the brush across the page, add pressure, and kind of see what shape emerges. Then you'll take a dark yellow or brown, do a cluster of dots in that center area. From there, we need to let everything dry completely. Once it has, we'll use a wet on dry technique to add a little bit of darker pink. Long thin lines will just add such detail to the petals, a few more dark yellow or brown dots, maybe even a line of dark green on those leaves. The second flower isn't all that dissimilar from the first, which hopefully will help to build your confidence. So we're going to take that dark yellow, run the brush around in a circle on the page to form 2 little circles. From there, rinse the brush, pick up a dark purple or any color, and we're going to try to do these 1 brush stroke petals. So starting at the center circle, take the brush and run it out and maybe wiggle it a little bit, add a bit of pressure, make a funny petal shape. If you need to use 2 brush strokes to do a petal, that's fine. We're going to go around in a circle, leaving space in between the petals. From there, if you've got a lot of blending and blurring of color at the center, you can use a clean brush to lift a bit of that color. Then we'll add some leaves. Start with a green line or 2, and then just do a whole bunch of little lines on each side of that center line to make these shaggy leaves that are perfect for framing your flowers. From there, you wait for it to dry, and then you can add detail using that wet on dry technique. All I'm going to do here is a few darker brown dots to amp up that stamen in the center. And it's not a bad idea to even do that again over here. That's the thing about watercolor. You're always layering, 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 layering. The next flower is more linear than circular, and it's a lot of fun to paint. So start with a light blue or periwinkle. We're going to pick up the pigment and start making these random brush marks on the page. I start with maybe 3 in a cluster, and then I start working down, kind of forming a conical or cone shape, like a rounded triangle. And you place those brush marks tighter together at the bottom to form the look of this lilac or bluebonnet or whatever it is. Then rinse that brush, pick up a little bit of green, add a stem and maybe some leaves, just some loose leaves. And then once you notice the periwinkle has started to dry and it is no longer puddle wet, you can take a little green on the tip of your brush and just hint at some more little stems that are sort of in the flower. From there, we wait for everything to dry completely, and then using that wet on dry technique where we can be so wonderfully precise, we're going to make just a few more brush marks. I'm going to focus mine on the right side of the flower, making it appear that it's more in shadow and helping to give the detail of many multiple blossoms. For flower number 4, we're going to use some of our drawing skills rather than our painting skills, and we're going to use this paintbrush almost like a pen. So this is a small daisy, and it's of course a white flower, and painting a white flower on white paper gives us a unique challenge in that we sort of need to paint the outline and then the shadow as well. So for the center, I just start with a little dark yellow dot, and then I'm going to take some French gray just on the tip of my brush. Make sure you blot your brush on your paper towel so that you are really in control of the pigment. And then once you have, take your brush and you're going to use it like a pencil or pen, just drawing in the outline of petals. You can switch to a smaller brush if you're more comfortable. And sometimes I get a little carried away and I just draw a whole bunch of these little gray flowers, and then I come back in later and do the yellow centers. After that, after you've kind of sketched these cute little daisies, let them dry. And then using a very light watery gray, we're just gonna put a few brush marks near the center to kind of give these white petals a little bit of shading. Make sure you leave lots of negative space, lots of paper showing through though, so that your flowers look white and not gray. Want more guidance when it comes to your watercolor florals? I have 2 floral-based watercolor e-courses. One is for the complete beginner, and they're both available on my website. Head to shaydacampbell.com to check them out. These courses are very comprehensive, they are very encouraging, and they are very well priced. It'll feel like you're sitting down with me, your friend, for an afternoon, for many afternoons of painting and learning. Here we are at flower number 5. You've already learned to paint 4 flowers, and this might be the easiest one yet. I'm gonna pick up a nice bright red, and I start this flower with a single petal, and then I go around and I paint 5 or 6 petals in a circle. You're almost painting that quintessential flower doodle. I like to also add a few little lines in there amongst the petals. Then for the next flower, I'm going to paint 3 or 4 petals in a semicircle, and then just join them with a curved line across the bottom. Makes the flower look as though it is blooming up and away from your viewer. I might do 1 or 2 more of these, and then we're gonna rinse our brush, pick up a dark green, and join them all together with some curving stems, and then you just flick that brush out and do little pairs of leaves all along the stems, adding more branches if you like, adding more flowers if you like, then let it dry completely. Just let it dry, and then just put a few dots of dark brown or yellow or whatever right at the center of each flower. And that's it. You're done. You've mastered 5 beautiful watercolor flowers. To finish a project like this, I start looking at it as an entire composition, not just 5 practice flowers. So once I've actually completed the flowers, and this is personal, I like to, kind of look for an area that maybe I could use another leaf or a little bit of green just to add balance. I'm also looking at all of the flowers thinking, hey, could I go a little darker anywhere? Does this need a little something more? So, because you're working in those layers, you can always look at your piece and kind of say like, hey, could I use a little bit of darker color anywhere? Because with watercolor, you're working in layers, you can always go back in. It's never too late to go back in and add those extra details. Thank you so much for watching and hanging out today. If you need more guidance, more info about watercolor materials, check out the e-courses. They're on my website, shaydacampbell.com. And if you love this content, hit the subscribe button. I've got 2 or 3 videos coming out every week. And if you want more bonus content, head over to Patreon, patreon.com/Shayda Campbell. It's a great way to support all the free content that you love here.